Hey there, fellas. Alright, so here's the deal. We're just about to dive into working on this here gauze. It's time we continue piecing it together. What's funny is that we've been tinkering with this thing for a while now, but why haven't we named it? What do you think, fellas? We should give this thing a name. Leave some comments, okay? Right, so what exactly do we need to finish? There's actually a ton of work to do. We still need to get all three motors connected, get everything hooked up, power supply, cooling, fuel. There's plenty for us to do here before we can take this thing out for some testing, which is something we intend to do 100%. Enough talk. Let's finish it off, fire it up, and have some fun. DIY V12, first start and first drive. Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. Check out what we've got going here, fellas. We've fabricated a couple of pulleys. I did say before that we're looking to connect the engines using belts instead of gears to get a soft connection happening. As you can see, this one is really big. It's got 4 grooves, though just 2 will be used. 2 of those pulleys are identical. One lives down there, the other up here, but this one is a bit smaller, since we'll have a pair of belts attached to each of these engines. Now let's go through the other modifications we've done. Now, since all of this is hard-mounted, essentially making this into one singular unit, in order to get the proper tension on the belts, we'll be using this right here. We've made us a few tensioners. It's just that there was no way to guess the dimensions. We didn't have the belts initially, and so once we had everything installed and could take some measurements, that's when we went out and bought the appropriate belts, which are a bit loose. But I reckon that these tensioners should make quick work of fixing that problem, as in we'll get the proper tension. For now, we've test-fitted one belt. We're keen to try starting at least 2 motors at once. Will they even... Of course they will. These are a lot of motors, I mean, come on. That was already terrifying. And now, yeah. Good luck getting them synchronized. At the very least, they work, and that's already a good sign. Not in a row, of course, but via belt system. But it's still pretty cool. Can't see anything. Alright, time to hook up that third motor. Then we do whatever we can to get everything synchronized. After that, we put together a cooling system, and on to the testing. Let's get to it. Okay, so we've got all of the belts attached. 2 per engine, just as we intended. We've got them on there, it's all good. The tension on them is pretty much identical, meaning we shouldn't be seeing any sort of slippage. That's very good. We've connected all 3 motors. Poor starter. That said, it is new. Time to test it and the engines. Let her rip. Doesn't want to. Everything works, and quite nicely. It even seems to have some pickup. I also like how it rolls back and forth. Alright, now we tend to the rest of it. The cooling system, though the ignition, when we actually hit the road, we will fit our good old super grippy tires. Each one of them is fitted with 2,500 screws. I 100% remember that a Lotta simply wasn't able to get these wheels to spin on an icy surface. The engine just didn't have enough grunt. Remember that? That O2 was so much fun to bomb around in. The problem being that these are 13s. Lotta rims aren't going to fit our Volga. So let's go ahead and modify them with a welder. And then we do some testing. Alright fellas, here we are at the test track. It's all good. We fitted our old wheels with the screws to get some solid grip. Now we see which layout for connecting the motors is optimal. When they're in line, or when they're in this Y formation linked with some belts. Alright, let's begin the testing. Can I start it? Oh, for God's sake. Now that's... yeah. $13.4. I mean, come on. I recall Gennady taking 5.6 to 5.8 seconds to get to 60 k's an hour. 13 is just laughable. This won't do. We should really do something about that clutch. And make it out here once more. Alright fellas, here's what we've done. Here we are back at the test track. We're about ready to go for a drive. We've broken in that new clutch. We've dialed these engines in. They seem to be working, and quite nicely at that. So I'll show myself to the starting line and try out the car. The power, man, you can feel it. But I'm still seeing 13. Don't know why, but something has gone wrong. Screw it, let's keep driving. What have we got? 11.9. Getting better. But something just went bang in that motor. Let's have a look. Isn't that cool? What's going on in here? That did look pretty epic. Right, a hose came undone. You should have used a better clamp. Oh, for God's sake. I felt it pick up. Then there was a slump. After 2.5 grand, you have some thrust. But then it's as if a turbo comes on boost. You heard it. No chance it'll hook up. It's like... And you're going sideways with the wheels frantically spinning. The front axle digs into the snow hard. The snow used to be soft, but now it's packed. The front axle is under some stress. Now, if you remember what we did to Gennady, we had those engines placed in a row, and we put some additional wheels up front as to take some load off of the front axle. Basically to even and balance it all out. But here we've got, all 3 motors are pushing down onto the front axle. The stock Volga springs, look at that, they actually held up. They've even got reasonable articulation. In any case, that's quite some load. You could really feel it dig in. You would have seen the rear wheels propelling the car forward and constantly placing it sideways. The front digs in, the rear kicks out while the wheels are spinning, and it drives at a slight angle. But, well, what can you do? Additional load. 10.8 shaved off another second. .4 is the result. That's fantastic. 9.4. So we were able to get from a 13.5 down to a 9.4. That's nice. A 4-second improvement. Alright, fellas, here's the situation. As a matter of fact, it's business as usual. Just the way we like it. We saw one of the pulleys fall off, oil spew out, the belts came loose. The ones that were left began to slip, which led to a loss of power, what with one engine down, and a loss of grip, or maybe, yeah, a loss of grip, if we're referring to the belts. In the end, well, it could have gone better. We weren't even able to get some decent drifting in. Then again, this wasn't too bad. The car was able to go sideways in 3rd gear on these aggressive tires. This thing is all about the wheel spin. And getting these screw-studded tires to spin, even on this kind of surface, that was something no Lada was ever able to do, except for Gennady. I think Gennady was also very much able to get them to spin, until we installed that carriage up front. As for the results, well, at first we had a bad clutch, and it was a small miracle that we were able to see a 0 to 60 km acceleration time of 13.5 seconds. Today, though, we brought that down to 9.4. The main problem being that we've got a lot of snow around. The surface was torn up, and then it all froze over, and from where I was sitting you could feel the car digging in with the front wheels, which constantly led it to drive sideways. The rear wheels had plenty of thrust, while the front end was holding us down. The front wheels lodged themselves into the snow, unable to plow through, and so we got drag, and the results show it. Then again, we did get somewhere. In all honesty, guys, you can feel the power. When you've got the engines mounted up like this, they work in a completely different way. When we welded those motors in a row, even on 2 or 3 engines, which gave us the best results, and that's how many we're running here. Anyway, so you smash the gas, and you can definitely feel The power, how 3 engines are working. It's as if you're dealing with a single big engine, which propels the car with such force. You need to try it for yourself to understand. It's actually pretty terrifying. And that's all I have for you, fellas. Maybe send in a few suggestions as to what we can do with this next. Maybe we let it sit until the summer, and take it out again once the time comes. That would actually be pretty curious. I'll be waiting for your comments, and that's it for today. Subscribe, send in those comments and suggestions, give us a big thumbs up. Alright, catch you later.